Hi, I'm Kate McKay, and welcome to Master Your Life, a show exclusively dedicated to the path to excellence through powerful stories of grit, determination, and the power of transformation. Today, I'm super excited to introduce the one, the only, Simon Severino. Welcome, Simon.
Hey, Kate, so good to be here. Hello, everybody.
So psyched to have you there. So Simon's got a really great podcast, and I was honored enough to be interviewed on that. And we're going to talk a little bit about that and really what's required right now for businesses and entrepreneurs. He's a business coach and a business owner and CEO, and also an incredible podcast host. I was thrilled to have him on. So just a little bit about Simon. He helps business owners in sales and services and runs their company more efficiently, which results in sales that soar. And he's trusted by Google, Roche, Constellance Ventures, Amgen, Abvi. He created the strategy sprints methods. Strategy sprints. That is a tongue twister, Simon, that doubles revenue in 90 days by getting owners out of the weeds. TEDx speaker, contributor to Forbes and Entrepreneur magazine, and member of the SVBS Silicon Valley Blockchain Society. Welcome. I'm so excited to get after it. So a question I want to start off right off the bat is, what does it mean? What is strategy sprints? Like, what is that all about?
To me, the two main questions when you run a business are, what's the right thing for us to do? And how do we do it the best way? These are the two main questions for me. And so for me, what's the right thing to do is the strategy question. And what's the best way to execute it is in sprints. That's just my position, because after 21 years of doing strategy advisory, I saw many things working and many not working. And mostly the execution was too long periods, not enough testing in between. So it was not de-risked enough. And I like the sprint methodology, and I have applied the sprint methodology now to how to run a business, because it de-risks everything. You divide work in very small chunks. You test assumptions quickly. You run multiple parallel experiments. You find out what works, and you do only more of what actually works. So it's de-risked. It's much cheaper. It's much faster. Teams learn more, and teams are in a flow state. And that's important. They get immediate feedback. It's like Angry Birds. You shoot the bird, 500 points. You shoot the bird again, 700 points. What do you want to do next? Shoot for 800. That's human nature. Everybody wants to do more if they get immediate feedback. It's working. And there is also this adrenaline aspect, the hormone aspect, that you go, oh yeah, I'm doing something that works. I feel great. Let's move on.
So what has made companies so stuck in really holding in and not being able to move and jive through that strategy experience? And it seems I'm so grateful, because I say the same thing about my strategy as a coach too, is it's all about taking action. And it may not be always 100% the right thing, but without taking action, informed action, you're pretty much just on the treadmill of life. And that goes whether we're talking about personal growth, business growth, health and wellness goals. It doesn't matter. Action is the key to success. And I love it that we share that. And what I love too is that here you are, an Italian in Austria, and you clearly have that, that Italian spirit of action and of speaking, and of also have this quality of being a heart-centered human. I really feel that and felt that certainly in our podcast. So how do you feel as though all of these things, these qualities that you bring to the world, what is this activation energy that you have? And how can people get it? Because that's your secret sauce, Simon.
The tools are very straightforward. It's 3 strategies and 274 tools, blueprints, checklists, etc., that help you get done faster. And the tools are actually, they're proven and they're working. People can grab the book, implement them this week. And the 3 strategies are really increase by 25% the frequency of your sales, increase by 25% the conversion rate from your current conversations, and increase by 25% the price that you can charge for the same offer by improving positioning. And those 3 things are actually For us, very easy to do because we do only this thing 12 times a day, every day since decades. And so when our clients come, it's pretty straightforward. One
So
thing
using those
right
words,
now,
I'm sorry to interrupt. So increasing, what was the first one? I just want to hear those three again.
frequency of your sales, that's
Mhm.
either by reducing the sales time or having a systemized cross-selling, upselling method. The second one is increasing conversions by 25%.
Mhm.
Same amount of conversations, but with a better sales technique and a better sales script, or the first sales script that you will have developed intentionally, you can close more of those conversations because you have now a method on how to close deals. And then the third one is you can increase the price for the same offer by 25% if you improve positioning. One thing to improve in positioning is that you package the offer better. For example, we double your revenue in 90 days. There is a timeline. It's quite tangible, even if it's intangible, because sales is many intangible moving parts. But in the end, 30 days, double revenue. Okay, I get that. You can tell it to somebody. You can say, that guy can double your revenue. It's easy to tell to somebody. It's easy to remember next week. So that's a packaged offer. And even if it's a service, it's productized. It's like a product. 30 days, double revenue.
I love that.
Like a product.
And then what's the checklist that you had? You've created obviously too this a checklist philosophy. I love that this is such a system that can be applied. It is fantastic. So can you just give a couple examples of like what would be on that checklist?
Yeah, it's super practical. So for example, I have it here on my desk and my marketing last week was not working. Something was the number of subscribers was not as high per week as usual. So my team and I, we picked the book, chapter 4, how to market. And it was like, okay, which step did we skip? Because every time we think we are smarter than the system because we have developed the system. So we think, we are smarter than that. We can skip one part. And whenever we do that, we get the invoice for that after a couple of weeks. So we go back to it, go directly through it. And that's a checklist. It says, did we do step 1? Okay, making sure we know what their current main problem is. Step 2, step 3, step 4. Look, we skipped step 4. We did not target according to what they need right now, but according to what we just have built last year, and we just want to sell it because it's here, instead of really empathizing with them and saying, what do they need now?
Beautiful. And how do people find that out? I mean, obviously those are probably the steps, but I love that you use the word empathize. Why that word, Simon?
Because if you lose contact to their needs, their dreams, and what they want to get rid of, these are the 3 important things: what they need, what they want to achieve, and what they want to get rid of. If you lose contact to those 3 things, you are doomed. That is called structural coupling in the systems theory. And the only vital thing and the only reason why there is you as an offer, as an organization, as a team, is that you are solving a problem for somebody. And that problem is either time or money. That problem is either reducing something that is creating frustration for them, like reducing costs, reducing the number of errors, reducing bad nights of sleep, or increasing something, increasing revenue, increasing joy, increasing connection, right? Increasing intimacy, increasing how they feel. So if you lose that main structural coupling, everything else will fall apart. Your marketing will not convert. Your sales will not close. Your operations will suck. Your retainment will go down. Your churn rate will go up. Everything else starts from, are you connected to what they need right now, independently of what you offer? Because you are here to solve a problem that's either time or money in different forms. If it's technology, you are solving probably the time money, because technology helps us do stuff faster, better. That's why we love technology, and that's why it's working and it's driving societal change. But we have to talk about what's going on, because 600 kilometers from here, there is a war going on. Many people right now, they have saved many months, years for their kids. They have bought Apple stocks, and those stocks are down since 7 months. Other people have supply chains that are broken. So it's really tough times. And this as an example, because the tough times actually are cyclical. If you are long enough in the market, like some of us, then you know, we have those dramas every 10 years and they pass. They all shall pass. But when you're in it, it's easy that they get a grip of you, they get a hold of you. And so you have to turn it around and say, wait a moment, where can I find a process that is conducive so that I stick with my dream, what I want to move forward, and whatever happens outside, I am in charge. I decide what I let in and what I don't let in. So actually the day of an entrepreneur should start with something that is a vision activation. I call it a vision activation. It's one of the 274 templates that we share with our clients. So what I do in the morning, I have 3 little kids, all below 6. So my day starts very early. I have my 2 hours of me time are 2 hours before they wake up. Later on, there is no chance. There is no me time anymore. Come on. So 2 hours before they wake up, it's my me time. The first hour, something that is just good for me. In my case, because I'm an old man, it's yoga. So I do yoga. And then, it's mainly stretching, breathing, activating the spine. Then I go running for an hour and in nature. And in this run, I listen to my vision activation. And that's super important. It reminds the body, not just the mind, not just the brain, because the brain we forget, but the body. I massage it in my muscles. It says, I am love, I am understanding. This is what I'm here to do. This is how I change the life of people. This is how they go home proud and relaxed. And why? This is how they have more grace when they run their business, and more effortlessness, more ease when they run a business because they are supported by systems. This is our monthly revenue. These are the people on my team, and this is why they want to be on the team. This is how it feels to be on our team. This is why we are Avengers. Those are the superpowers in the team. This is the profit number that we make. And that profit number gives me shivers because it's bigger than we can currently achieve. And so it's a number that really creates emotion and that the body has to adapt to. So I'm raising the frequency for the intensity that I want to hold. It's like an athlete literally imagining now winning the World Cup, and you hold the World Cup in your hand. That's a higher intensity of what you're currently doing during your training. And so you prepare for that intensity. If Oprah calls us and say, hey, come on my stage, I have to say, no, Oprah, I'm not ready for that intensity. I did not prepare for that. So you have to pick your one vision and to really start making yourself ready. Because when you are ready, then it will happen. At some point, it will happen. You are massaging it into your body. And this is important. So first 2 hours passed, I did not watch the news. I don't have a TV. I don't watch the news, any news. I will get information later in the afternoon while I watch the markets. The markets will tell me what's going on in society. But I don't need it in the morning. In the morning is protecting your dream, bringing yourself in peak state, and then crushing it in the morning. Before lunch, I will have solved the biggest problems that I want to solve in that week. That all will happen before 12 o'clock.
So you're totally taking advantage of your dopamine. So we look at the neuroscience behind that. You're totally functioning in when your dopamine is its highest and best. That's just a beautiful, really grateful that you shared that with me. So how did you get to that point where you knew you had to create a system? And have you always had that discipline?
I am the opposite of discipline. I'm an Italian guy, and like most Italians, I just want to have fun. I don't care about discipline. We are not built like that. And so when people hear that, they go, but Simon, you are the most disciplined guy ever. You run triathlons, you have 3 kids, you run a global business. Everything is systemized in your world. You're the systems guy. I say, that's exactly the reason. Because I'm a creative, spontaneous, impulsive person, I need supporting structures, because otherwise you just have goals, but then guess what? Stuff breaks. You have a virus, you have a broken supply chain, your computer breaks. You will find so many excuses, and goals don't help you. When stuff gets tough, goals don't help you. Maybe they remind you about the general direction. But execution is something very different. So, for example, my podcast system is totally a system. I just show up here and I talk. I just show up as a host and everything is prepared, because it cannot be dependent on the mood of that day. What if I have to pick up the kids from kindergarten because there is a virus, and then I come here and I have no time to prepare? Preparation needs to be a system. Everything that is organizable is organized. Everything that we can systemize, we have systemized, either automated or at least created a process, so written down how it works. And then we have multiple people running it. If they get a virus, they can hand it over. If
Well,
I
how
get a
did you
virus, I can hand it
learn
over.
that though? Because I'm so curious because you say that, what has been the journey to that for you? Because that's a big deal.
Yeah.
So you have
The
people
journey
listening
started-
right now and they're like, yeah, I don't really like to put structure because structure like dims my creativity, or, I really like to keep things loose because you never know when good things are going to show up. I mean, you know the story. What was the
Totally.
lesson for you?
And I was the same. No, systems hinder my creativity. I was the same. You only do that when you have to do it. And so I had to do it because I hit the capacity limit. I had a client who wanted to work with me, and I would love to take on that project, but I just couldn't because it was full capacity. And so I said, there is something really broken here. I have a business so that I want to have my dream clients, my dream projects. Now the dream project is here. I have to say, no, wait a moment. Something is broken here. And so I got a business coach, and that business coach says, Simon, you have to get 2 levels above fulfillment. Are you crazy? What are you doing here? You are the marketing department, the sales department, you are operations, you are management. Come on, you're going to burn out. And also you cannot make more of that. Also from a revenue side, you just hit limit.
Looking for a motivational and inspirational speaker to host your next event? Reach out to me at kate-mckay.com.
And so I was like, yes, you are right. And I don't enjoy it this way. I cannot do more of it. And I also not enjoy running on all cylinders all the time. I want some space here. And so they go, well, look, who is the head of marketing? Simon. Head of sales? Simon. Head of operations? Simon. And so I saw everywhere Simon. I was like, okay, I get it. And so I had to write it down. I started writing it down. And you have to start, it's important, with the money-making part of it. Otherwise, you will skip it. So start with the payment system. How do you get paid? Write it down. And what happens before? How do you close the deal? Write it down. Ask somebody to interview you and they write it down if you find it too boring. So they write it down. And then what happens before the sales? Making them ready, 80% ready to buy. Write it down. Then that's how you map the whole thing. And now you have 6, 7 processes. That's how you start. From there, now you can hand them over to a VA, to a colleague, to external colleagues, internal colleagues, to a software. Many things can be done by software. And now you have a basic systemized business. Now, from there, you can go by reduction, simplify it even more. And now the more it's simple, the less parts that breaks, because the more parts you have, the more breaks, the more stuff breaks over time. And so now that is simple because you have systemized it. Now it's highly scalable and now you have time. So in that moment, I fired then myself from operations first, then from marketing, etc. From each one after the other, I fired myself from those because now other people could do it. And that's important. This is when you regain your freedom. And now I had 40 hours per week. And then what do I do with all this time now?
Oh my gosh, it's freedom is real. So if you could just share with us, like, what has been your favorite failure? Something that you've just crazy learned from is just like the super whooper duper, if there's one you'd like to share personally or professionally.
I have multiple failures per day because we take so many decisions and many are wrong. Just I picked the wrong CRMs. I picked the wrong offer. I started a group coaching and we stopped it after 3 months. We have multiple failures. The group coaching was probably the worst thing that we ever did because we thought, if it's more affordable, then more people will have sprint results. And in reality, when you have a group coaching, it's not transformative for anybody. And because they pay less, they also commit less. And there is a reason why they cannot pay for a one-to-one thing, because they are avoiding execution since years. And it will not be changed by a more affordable group program.
Yeah, no.
It will only be changed by they committing to their own dream more. And so you are taking basically away, you are giving them one more chance to avoid committing to their own success by making things more affordable. So that was probably the biggest mistake, but we learned from that. And now it's much less affordable to work with us because only people who are committed to their goals enter the sprint in the first place. And that's why they double revenue, because they are super committed. Exactly. And now when you have somebody who has committed internally to be successful, to crush it. And now you give them the 274 tools. Now they will implement them.
Absolutely. That's so good. It's so true. You just never know where you have to pivot. And you had mentioned something earlier, I think before we hit record, about this time, like what's going on. And really your call right now, you feel, is that, obviously being aware that we're in a mess in the economic and social forum of life and worldwide, and people are seeking stability in a time of instability. But unfortunately, what's happening now, and I know I see a lot of it, is the sabotage, that people are like losing hope, and then they set stuff up and they're pitching stuff that isn't resonating, like you're not empathizing with the people. So what is your take on that? What's your ahas about what's going on right now in the world?
Super important. So today, for example, I was quite depressed looking at my stocks and my cryptos, everything down since 7 months.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like, oh my God, I have to sell.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you have this emotion and it's a cyclical nature of things. And when things are down, that's exactly when you shouldn't give up. That's exactly when you have to buy more of the assets that you have researched and well decided to go in. And so in my case, it's Bitcoin, Solana, Tesla. Those three things, I had to push the button to buy more during the hardest situation where everybody's panicking, selling, go cash. And I go, no. That's exactly when I buy. I buy those banks that are breaking apart. So I run into a building that's burning because that's exactly what makes wealth creation possible. The people who do not emotions stop them, but you have your process. I did my fundamental analysis. I know which stocks and assets I find long-term valuable. I will not let the emotions of temporary events, because in 10 years, this is all over. So it's a temporary event. And in 10 years, which stocks, assets, etc., will be the most lucrative? The ones that are cheap right now. So if you zoom out 10 years and you have a simple process like fundamental analysis checklists, technical analysis checklists, your process of rebalancing your portfolio, how much percentage in what, then the emotion is out. I did have a feeling in my stomach. I was like, oh my God, I'm buying something. But I just did it.
I get you.
Yes. And in yoga, you say it's just a sensation. Continue the stretch. Hold the stretch. It's just a sensation. And why is yoga so powerful? Because it's all a process. It's all a process, and it's 1,000 years that it works. And they say when they find pain, etc., it's a sensation. Don't care about sensations; they come and go. Sometimes it's a positive signal that you are stretching the right part.
That's totally true. So, how do you apply this to maybe even personal development and interpersonal relationships? Like, what is this knowingness that you have about efficiencies? And knowing that you're the creative Italian in Austria, which I think is hysterical, just picturing it. What would you say to people who are struggling with even their relationships, both internally with their spiritual self, as you described, the sacred space around us, but also in their relationships around them in this uncertainty? Because right now, for me, it's about creating those relationships, because relationships are everything. They just did a study, a report in on CEOs, and what they determined is the traits that CEOs, really most successful ones now versus 2020, in 2022, is that they have to understand ambiguity, and they have to have a global perspective, right? And they have to have extraordinarily developed interpersonal skills. Man, this is different from 2020, even when it was like, are you able to build efficient teams, right? So how do we deal in that space now? And I think you brought it up so wonderfully when you talked about being empathic and knowing that. And I see you as being very, very successful going forward, Simon, because of what you shared today.
I think that the long-term strategy and the global understanding is one of the foundations for leadership. And the other one is stepping in and showing up. So the long-term perspective in strategy, you always think 15 years, 10 years, you think in scenarios. And so even when people go, oh, but that's happening in 15 years, Yeah, but who creates that right now, and who makes the organization ready for that, and who can be the first one? How can you be the first mover in that thing? So that's the long-term perspective. The other one is empathizing with others and working through your communication conflicts. Because communication, let's be honest, is 80% is misunderstanding. You don't understand them, they don't understand you. That's communication. Everybody goes, oh, communication skills. No, communication is mainly misunderstanding. And it starts, and it's all inside of us. So if I think, oh, they are all slow, or oh, they don't get it, or they make mistakes, the quality is not high enough. Whatever I say about other people, I am talking about myself. It's a mirror. It's a mirror. So the work is really understanding yourself. And I think the work is done when you don't see the separation anymore. There is no separation between you and every employee, everybody around you, your clients. We are all the same in different bodies. That's it. But there is no separation. And so the work is there. And when you get there, there is only love and understanding. There is nothing else. You don't run around like Jerry Seinfeld anymore being irritated by everything, because you immediately feel that everything is you. And so you can empathize with people with a different age, different gender, etc., because there is no separation. So there is no feeling out there that I cannot feel. And that's why my work in the morning before I run, my work is yoga. First, feeling what are my feelings, my fears, my emotions, etc. So what are my own demons and limitations? And then stepping into the world and whatever I have to offer, showing up, offering it, in being in service. But knowing that conflicts will pop up and that I hopefully can reconnect to the morning when I go, oh yeah, I know that feeling from my meditation in the morning. Hey, I'm also afraid.
That's so good. Who was growing up? Did you have someone that had that spiritual grounding awareness that around you, or from like just as a young person, like who held that space for you?
My parents are very practical people. I found this more from reading books, actually. So I guess the first book that opened up this dimension for me was Hermann Hesse. And the book was called Siddhartha. I will never forget when I read this. I was, I don't know, 14, 15 years old. And I went like, oh my God, this is cool. And then the Doors, the band, the Doors, opened another dimension for me. And so it went on from there. It was literature, philosophy, and music that opened those kind of doors, and older friends who were into these things.
That's so awesome. I love that. I loved Hermann Hesse too. That's the one thing that we did a lot as a family, is we read a lot. And it's so funny. You have like Hermann Hesse and like Steinbeck, and I always loved Narcissus and Goldman more than I liked Siddhartha, which is just so interesting. But there's those authors that really struck you, and Hermann Hesse is one of mine too, for sure. It's so great. I'm so grateful that you shared that. Viewers and listeners, if you haven't checked out Siddhartha, it's absolutely a must read. It's a story of Buddha, basically. But what I love about it is that Hermann Hesse is like, he's German, but he's writing on deeply spiritual matters on Buddhism and spirituality. And it's beautiful. His simplicity to which he writes, I find absolutely exquisite. Super good. So how would you describe the word mastery, Simon? What is your definition of mastery?
To me, mastery is something that you cannot really achieve, but you either have it as your intention or you don't. And you see mastery when you meet it, because it's somebody that hands you a coffee in a way that is appropriate and that is right now, with attention and with understanding. And you see it. It's how you hand something over to somebody, or if you pass by something that's broken and you repair it. You see people who have the intention of mastery and who are masters, because in every moment they give their best, and that best is always different. But in this moment, they are giving their best. They're not cutting corners. And so that for me is mastery. In this moment, can I use the words that are most conducive, that are most alive, that are most real? This is how I intend to live mastery. The words that I use, the decisions that I take in each moment, do I give my best or not? That's how I see mastery.
I love that. So what I heard is that there's deliberate action, and it's even the way that someone hands you a coffee. It's with attention and understanding. Oh, that's super deep. I love that.
So there is a great documentary about a sushi master who it's called Kojiro's Dream of Sushi. And it's just him preparing the sushi most of the time. And that's mastery. If you look this documentary up, that's mastery from the very first second to the last. They're just preparing fish and cutting fish and putting fish, preparing fish so that other people can eat it. That's it. But the way they do it, it's absolutely deliberate, and nothing is left to chance. It's really deliberate, and it's absolute mastery.
So gorgeous. I love that it's not necessarily just for these Olympic athletes and these CEOs. It's everything that we can seek and set our intention on being present in the moment. And that's just a really beautiful, I really appreciate that description. Really gorgeous. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate that. So I asked this question, but if you had a billboard, or if there's something that you really want people to know, what would that be, Simon?
I would write on the billboard, keep rolling. Because I think everybody listening right now, one thing is important. There is nothing to do. There is nothing missing. Nothing, absolutely nothing. You are all opportunities. You are love. You are understanding. You are freedom. You are the protector. You are everything that you need and that you are seeking or longing. You already are. And so that's for me the most important thing. And problems come up when people just forget or disconnect from that. And so if I could write one thing, just keep rolling. Just keep rolling. Don't let the world scare you, stop you, hinder you. Don't become your own self-sabotage. Just keep rolling.
It's so good. Keep rolling, keep rising. Simon, I'm so grateful for this time. I love being on the other side when I'm interviewed and then I get to interview, because it's such a wonderful experience to be able to hear your stories and the magic you share. And I appreciate your brilliance you bring to the world and your systems that you bring to the world. And even more so, I appreciate the heart and the way you are so deeply committed, fully 2 feet in with full intention into your work here in this world. And I'm honored to share this time with you. So thank you so much.
Kate, thank you for doing this, for holding the space, showing up for your community with this consistency.
Thank you. And I will share all of Simon's contact information. You've got to follow Simon. His podcast will be in the show notes. And if you have any questions, just please reach out to Simon. If you have any questions in regards to his system, he's going to be happy to answer them for you. And I don't think you're going to be disappointed at all. So thank you to all of you for tuning in to another episode of Master Your Life with Kate McKay. And until next time, keep rolling.
Looking for an inspirational speaker at your next event? Please reach out to us at kate-mckay.com and to book Kate at your next event.